Alright, so I realize that this is probably outside the realm of interest of what most of my viewers are probably looking for, but I'm basically working on another Supra steering wheel leather wrap. I'm doing this one from scratch, and one of the problems I'm having is my sewing machine keeps destroying string. Now, I realized that I was doing a few things wrong by watching multiple videos on the internet, but I realized there's not one single video that shows you how to properly set up this machine. So I'm going to go ahead and do that because it's just ridiculous to me. These machines are really common. They're vintage now, right? Because these things were from like the 70s and 80s. But they're everywhere. It's a Kenmore. Mine is an Ultra Stitch 6. I borrowed this from my mom. There's the Ultra Stitch up to 12, 13, maybe even more for all I know. But they're all basically the same machine with some slight tweaks. And I'll show you guys how to thread this and how to do the bobbin correctly, so that you can have it set up, and then I'll show you what's wrong with mine precisely and how I'm going to fix that. So the first order of business is threading this machine. So the first thing you want to do, you want to put your string here on top, right? Then you're going to go to this box on the left. Looking at this little box on the left, you're going to take your string, put one finger to kind of pat it down and create tension, or hold the reel, right? And you'll pull the string under here. So you go like that. Then you pop it out of the side and you stick it through this little thing here. Once you do that, you're gonna pull the string down, right? And you see this little ear? The string goes in front of that. This is the tensioner, right? So those settings are how much tension it's putting on the string. Now, something that I saw some people do wrong is that they go and thread through here. Don't do that. Instead of putting it through here, what you're going to do is you're going to bring your thread up, keeping along that same groove that you put it in, and you're going to tug it upward against this ring, and you're going to see what's going to happen is the ring is going to let it come up and come down around this little finger that kind of points that way, right? And now this can come down. That's how that goes. Then you put this behind, right behind this, and you go up. When you're up here, you want to turn the wheel on the right hand side of your machine counterclockwise, in other words toward you, in order to get this up to its highest setting, right? Then you're going to take your string and you're going to run it through that. You're going to pull it down. Now, I like to put tension here and then pop this in. Okay, there's another little tab down here. So again, putting tension slightly above, pop it through there. Once you get the string in through there, you'll see that there's these two little loops just above your needle. I go through the one on the left. You don't have to put the string directly through. You can actually go like this, right, and loop it slightly behind, and there's an opening into that loop, and shazam, now it's through there. Now you go through your needle, right? So let's cut the string tip because it is a little frayed. We'll go through our needle, which is always a little bit tricky at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's not that hard. And once you're through the needle, you can put this through the center of the foot and out. Alright, so that is how you thread the machine. It is now threaded. Next thing you need to think about is the bobbin. To get at the bobbin, you're going to pop this off. You just pull on it lightly, and you open this plate here. Now, you'll see these two tabs that hold this assembly in there together. Do not do anything with that. Just leave it in place. You're going to pull this little tab that's here. On this is the bobbin holder. And now it comes out. Mine was already threaded, right? So let's take a look at this. So here comes the real science of putting this together. When I first got this, I saw some videos and people were just sticking their thread through here, right, from the inside and popping this on. That is wrong. They were also putting it in counterclockwise, right? Like that. Or rather, like this. They were putting it in so it faced counterclockwise. I saw one video where a guy explained that it actually goes like this, clockwise, right? And then, and this is what I was missing, is you see this little cut out here and this sort of weird flat piece of metal? That is the tension spring. You gotta take your string and put it through this little groove here and then wind it around so that it pops out here. And now it's not just popping out through this hole, but rather it's sitting underneath this little metal plate. And that's what's keeping the tension. So if you adjust this screw here, clockwise, tighten it down, it makes this more tense, right? Harder to pull. If you undo it, you go counterclockwise, it makes it less tense, right? I saw where people were putting the string on this side, but the guy who explained this on his video put it on this side. I don't really know that that matters as much once you get the string all the way through, but I'm gonna do it his way, right? In order to keep the bobbin from popping out, you pull this thing, and that also allows you to insert this. So you're gonna go ahead and insert this. Boom, that's that. Key detail is you want this little finger that sticks out to go into the groove for it right there. Now the last part is to get this black string up through the top, through here. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna hold my upper thread, right, the blue thread, and I'll turn the wheel on the opposite side counterclockwise with my right hand. You'll see the needle will go down, and then it's gonna hook that lower thread. And you'll see it kind of wrapping around the bobbin and coming up. So at some point, I should see a little loop here, which I already do. You see that black string on my blue? I'll now take a pair of tweezers and just tug that black string, and you'll see it coming up through the bottom. And there you go. Now this is completely set, and I'm ready to sew as soon as I close this little thing up. And it popped out. No big deal. That happens. Hard to do with a camera in your way, but if you don't have a camera in your way because you're not filming a YouTube video, I promise you it'll be a lot easier. Do that, then reinstall this plate, and you're ready to sew. Now I'll show you one thing that's happening with mine, which is causing the string to break while I'm sewing, and I just realized that it's pretty stupid. But let me zoom in and show you what that looks like. So if you look at this metal plate on here, you'll notice that right where the needle is, where it kind of meets it, there's kind of like a little groove in the plate. That means that this needle has been, or rather not this one, but the ones that were used on the machine in the past, have been hitting that metal plate and wearing out the metal plate, causing a sharp edge. And of course, because the string is going through that side of the needle, it's wearing the string on there and causing it to break. That means that this plate is adjusted incorrectly. So I'm going to have to turn this screw and the other one to loosen it and make an adjustment so that I'm not striking that. And that's something that you need to check on your machine in order to make sure that you're not damaging your thread. So if you're having a lot of thread breakage, I honestly think that would be the first thing to check, and then make sure that you've threaded correctly, set up your bobbin correctly, etc. Because I'm happy that I took the time to learn how to do all of those aspects correctly by watching videos, but none of them actually solved my problem by showing me what was really wrong. I had to really pay attention. This is clashing. So I'm going to go ahead and take a flathead and loosen this mess. And man, do you need a short flathead. Alright, I was able to get that. Now loosen the other side as well. There's one on the opposite end. Alright, so I'll loosen this one. Alright. And I'll shift this little plate backward if I can. Hopefully there's an adjustability on it. If not, I've got to consider maybe messing with the alignment of the needle holder to try to get it aligned to the plate. I'm hoping that it's just a matter of shifting this plate over in order to get what I need to happen. Yeah, because my string is definitely hitting there as it goes down. Yeah, it's definitely dragging the string across that and messing it up. I'll see if I can figure out how to fix that, and then I'll record what I did. Okay, Okay, so I took that plate off. All you really have to do is take out the 2 screws and then kind of pry up underneath it with your nail and get it out. It'll give some resistance because this grease kind of sticks it on there. But I took the plate itself and I cleaned up this groove because it had a sharp end there from the needle poking it. I basically shrunk down a Dremel cutoff wheel against a grinding bit, so it was tiny enough that I could just slide it in here and just clean up this edge. A jeweler's file will do the same for you with much less effort. I simply did not have one. But yeah, I cleaned that up. Now I'm going to put the plate back in place, take advantage and clean out some of that greasy lint that forms in there while you're at it. I took some out earlier, but could still actually stand to have more removed. But once you got that, let me take advantage and just undo this bobbin so I don't have this thread in the way. Okay, you can go ahead and put this plate back on. All right, and you should be able to adjust it back and forth. So what you want to do is move the needle down and make sure that it's not colliding at all. All right, so if you move the needle down, it shouldn't hit here at all. And you can shift it and try to get your needle centered in that groove so that it's not striking at all. That should solve the issue with the thread breaking, because the thread was literally shearing against this sharp edge here of this plate. The needle was just basically wearing it out there. So now that I've done that and I've adjusted it, I'm gonna go ahead and thread the screws in and check that it's going to allow it to sit where I want it. And if the screws force it back into a position where I'm not happy with it, then I guess what I'll end up having to do is just to widen that groove with the Dremel, so that I have enough space in there to be able to do this without the needle clashing. Thus far it looks like it's gonna allow me to do what I want. Tighten down the other bolt. Alright, so now I should be able to do this and not have my thread break. I ended up taking this off once more and widening the groove a little bit more with my Dremel. So now my needle doesn't look like it's hitting, so I'm going to go ahead and do a quick test and see if it works out. And if my string frays, then I know that I'll probably need to do even more. So I want to sew this on this side. This is a piece of leather I got, right? Steering wheel leather. Let's tug on my string, and here goes nothing. If it tears, I gotta do some more work. And it tore. It tore. So I've gotta widen this even further. So I ended up pulling off this plate again and just tried running the string up against the edge of it, and sure enough it cut through it right away, which meant even though I widened this a little bit with the Dremel, the edge was sharp. So what I did was I took the plate downstairs and I cut up some strips of... So I ended up taking this plate off one more time, and what I noticed when I ran a string along it was that it still sheared right away because that edge was actually still sharp. So even though it was a little bit wider, it was still touching, I guess, to a degree, and it was sharp enough to cut the string. So what I ended up doing is I cut a bunch of strips of sandpaper, and I cut 80 grit, 120 grit, 220 grit, and 320 grit sandpapers,
and just ran a bunch of strips of each grit through the front edge and the back edge of that groove. And the end result is that the groove became a good bit wider, but more importantly, it became way smoother. So all bladed edging is gone. It's now completely round, you know, inside this area. So when the string rubs up against it, if at all, because it's wider now, it's not going to be getting sheared as it was before. There's still some kind of issue happening that's damaging string, and I think that's within the bobbin area. However, when I sewed on like a regular t-shirt, it seemed to work well enough. I mainly have an issue on leather. I've sewn leather on this machine without a problem before, so I don't know that it's necessarily that, but something about the way the needle and the string, the upper thread, is interacting with the lower thread on the bobbin seems to be a little bit off. And there might be some kind of adjustment that I need to do there as well. However, because I've been wanting one for a long time, I went ahead and ordered a brand new sewing machine, and the next video will be showing you guys that. If you'd enjoyed this video, if it's been helpful to you, feel free to like, subscribe, click the notification bell so that you're notified when I post more videos. If you have any feedback, any comments on how I can improve this or maybe get this machine to work better for me, feel free to leave that in the comments section. And as always, thank you for watching.